Welcome back to Bad Attitude C10. Today I'm going to be sharing this little trick item that Fuelab offers on their website to help you select the components for your fuel system. We're going to start off by going to fuelab.com, and on their homepage, if you scroll down, there's a section that says select your fuel system and a second one that says power flow capacity calculator. We're going to utilize this calculator first so we can find out exactly what flow rate will be required for our application. So we're going to start off and just follow along with the prompts, and up first we're going to select our fuel type. So in our case it's going to be E85. After that, we're going to come down, and the BHP stands for brake horsepower, which is the same or equivalent to rear wheel horsepower. Using the head unit and the pulleys that we're going to be using, they show anywhere from about 775 to 850. So we're going to go on the high end and select 850. Our base fuel pressure generally would be 58 to 62 on a LS, but since we're running boost and the maximum boost we've seen with the configuration we're doing is 12 psi, we'll add that and then hit calculate. So here's the results, and it's showing for an NA application that we would need to flow 116.98 gallons per hour. If we were going to put nitrous on it and to be safe, we'd need 133.69 gallon per hour. And in our case, with forced induction and using the TorqueStorm supercharger, it recommends 158.75. So now that we know what magic number we're shooting for, we're going to go ahead and transfer our information into the system calculator. And up first, we're going to pick fuel injected. And on induction, we're going to go to forced induction because it is a supercharged unit. The fuel type, again, will be E85, and the mounting configuration we'll be doing is an external style pump. Again, our horsepower is rear wheel horsepower, and we're going to select the 0 to 1000 horsepower range and then hit search. Now, once the search is hit, you'll see that it's going to pop up all the suggested items for our system, and we're going to go ahead and select fuel pumps. Under the fuel pumps, we're going to go with the Prodigy Series pump and see what they've, selected for us to look at in that area. In looking at the 5 pumps that they have suggested, we're going to look for our base number, which was the 158.75, and the first pump shows 85 GPH at 45 PSI, which will be small. The second one's at 125 GPH at 45 PSI, again, which will be a little small. The next pump up shows 145 GPH at 45 PSI, and that's probably going to get us pretty close, so we're going to go ahead and check out, and then we're going to go and look at the technical sheet. Now, this technical sheet was actually the flow sheet they sent when my pump was tested, and if you notice at 58 PSI, it shows that it will still put out 135 GPH, which is pretty close. So then if we use the 70, you can see the circle will come here, and it's still going to be about like 125-ish, and there is a fudge factor, so we're going to see where this takes us. Now, let's go ahead and try another one, and I'm going to show you a carbureted variety one this time. So we're going to start by refreshing it, then we're going to go to the capacitor, or capacity calculator, and we're going to select the fuel type, and this time we're going to go with gasoline. Base horsepower, or at the rears, we're going to go 550. And then for fuel pressure, since it is carbureted and we're going to go naturally aspirated, we're just going to put 10 PSI for base fuel pressure. So, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then hit calculate. So once we hit calculate, they're going to populate it. And here we go. It says for NA, 42 gallon per hour would be sufficient. If we did the nitrous setup on it, it recommends bumping up to a 50.65 gallon per hour pump, and forced induction would bump up to a 59.10 GPH. So now we're going to transfer this information over, and again we're going to pick carbureted, naturally aspirated, gasoline, mounting configuration external, horsepower the 0 to 1000, then we're going to populate it by hitting search. And voila, here we go. The fuel system selected items are popped up. We're going to hit fuel pump. Again, we're going to go to the Prodigy series of pumps and click on that and see what the results show. Now guys, when I got the results of this search, it kind of threw me for a loop, and I was like, dang, that's a big pump. And I was looking at it, and I scrolled down, and whenever you scroll down to about mid-page on the pump section, you'll see a section that says technical sheets. And right below it, whenever you click on it, you'll see a little bitty download area. If you click on that, you can download the data sheets. So I did that, and I scrolled down, and when I went to the flow section, which is here, I'm going to go ahead and blow this up so you can see it a little better. The pump that it recommends first, if you put it at 8 to 10 psi and look at the chart, it shows it can flow 120 to 125 gallons per hour, which is like triple the amount that we need for our little 550 base horsepower. Now the pump's rated at 85 GPH at 45 psi for a fuel injection system that still, you know, can supply up to 700 horsepower that route. So it's a big pump. So I was like, Tanner, what gives? Why didn't it offer, you know, that 10 psi pump? And he's like, well, it's rated way higher. So I went back after he told me and hit carbureted, naturally aspirated, gasoline, and I bumped the horsepower range up to 1,001 to 2,000, and sure enough, that 170 gallon per hour pump popped up, and it stated that it's rated all the way up to 1,600 horsepower for a carburetor. So that's why it didn't pop up in the original search from the 0 to 1,000 horsepower range. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this unit, the 170 gallon per hour at 10 psi variable speed pump, and click on it, scroll down and hit the technical sheet and download it. And then we're going to drop down here to the flow on it, and I want you to pay very close attention to this. Now, if you notice, that 85 gallon per hour at 45 psi pump that we saw would do 120 to 125 gallon per hour at 8 to 10 psi would be great for our application. It'd be like 3 times the amount we needed, like I mentioned earlier. This 170 gallon per hour pump at 10 psi can be compared to that other pump by looking at the solid line, and then the dotted line is this 170 gallon per hour pump. So it's way more overkill and not really needed. So another aspect that you can look at is they have an amp draw chart, and if you look, the original pump actually draws about 2 amps less and will be sufficient for our application. So instead of utilizing the larger pump and worrying about more amp draw if you're really on a tight deal or on a race car and worried about running your battery down, pump calculator actually did its job and suggested the item that we would need. Now guys, just remember, this calculator is going to be dependent on what you input, so you need to be as honest as possible so you can get the best selection available. And if you feel like you're getting in over your head, you can always contact your tuner or your engine builder, or feel free to contact Fuelab direct. Now, we will be doing a video over the Prodigy pump that we will be running on the Bad Attitude C10, and that'll drop sometime this weekend. Until then, we'll catch you later.